本场讲座，我们邀请到陈肇新医学博士，他毕业于常春藤名校 Princeton 普林斯顿大学，拥有多年名校升学辅导经验，曾参与 Princeton 普林斯顿大学、纽约大学 Mount Sinai 医学院和 UCLA 医学院招生办公室审核及面试工作。陈博士1对1辅导，专精升学规划、申请文章指导及面试培训，塑造学术专长，提升成功进入名校的机会。陈博士能把学生现有的条件和兴趣与专业需求联系起来，变成学术专长，凸显在申请文章里。从主题内容上提升申请文章质量，吸引读者，增加录取机会。本场讲座，陈肇新医学博士为大家带来英文演讲《How I Get Accepted by Stanford》斯坦福大学成功录取的申请策略。
I got into Stanford. I got admitted to Stanford. I got accepted by Stanford. This is probably the most exciting news any young 16, 17-year-old high school student can ever express, can ever tell their parents. I have this experience almost every single year. And the last time was March 31st. One of my students and their parents together called me, and I called them back. The first thing they said was, I got into Stanford. Why is this such a big news? Why is this such an astonishing news? Because Stanford admission rate today by standard is already dropped to 2 to 3%, and Harvard admission rate is still running about 4 to 5%. That means that statistically, it is much more difficult to get into Stanford than Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Columbia, MIT, etc., etc. Even though Stanford's ranking is approximately number 6 according to certain rating standard, and Harvard and Princeton still keeping their rank at number 2, number 1 respectively, but I got into Stanford is something that most high school students, especially California high school students, would like to tell their parents. I'm Dr. Simon Chan. I'm a medical doctor. I practice medicine and I practice gastroenterology. It means I'm a subspecialist in stomach, colon, liver, pancreas, etc. I take pride in taking care of patients, but don't get me wrong, I also take major pride on the weekend by helping young high school students applying to college, top university, top Ivy League schools, and I take pride in helping college students and apply to medical school. Today I gave another talk earlier on medical school, so right now this half an hour, I will concentrate on talking about Stanford, how I get accepted by Stanford, my experience, my preparation for my student, my counseling for my student, my strategy for my students, and especially the essays that we wrote together. My college counseling experience dated back many years ago, more than 18 years ago, when I actually collected my experience from being a young admission officer for Princeton when I was a student. Those days I was in charge of some minority groups, including China, Beijing. And I also did admission office work for Mount Sinai Medical School in New York and also UCLA Medical School in Los Angeles. I take pride being able to craft one-on-one strategy, one-on-one counseling process for my students. So every one of my students is not just a prototype, but every one of my students actually is an expert in the process of preparing for college or preparing for medical school. I love studying. I have my research work dated back in Princeton. I did my medical work at Mount Sinai, New York. Thereafter, after about 5 years of medical practice, I went back to school to study more because I want to know about the society in business. I did an MBA in public health. I did an MPH in psychology as a group psychology in MSOD, also in law in something called mediation law in MDR. I also went to Oxford University in England, and I love doing research and putting them into a publication so to share my findings with the public. Top 10 research universities, national universities in the United States and their admission rate. Princeton, for the last 14 years, always ranked number 1. Columbia now ranked number 2. Harvard number 2, always secondary to Princeton for the last many years. MIT number 2. Yale number 5, used to be number 3. Stanford number 6, always been around number 6. Chicago number 6. UPenn at about the same place, number 8. Caltech about number 9, number 10. Duke, Johns Hopkins, Northwestern, always number 9, number 10. Before COVID, year 2020 admission rate was a little bit higher than after COVID. Admission rate drops a little bit as of year 2021 and 2022. All alluded to mainly the number of applicants apply are elevating because students without the GPA or SAT still be brave enough to apply to these top universities, so mathematically make the ratio somewhat lower because more students apply with the same number of seats of admission. But the main point is this. Most of these top 10 universities, including Stanford, they take only 5 students out of 100. That means 90-some students will be very discouraged and unhappy when they have the courage to apply, but they don't get in to these top universities. In particular, Stanford, for the last 5 years, starting from 2017 to 2021, the number of applicants elevate from year to year. And last year, 2021, Stanford had more than 55,000 applicants for the same number of seats of approximately 2,000. So therefore, admission rate dropped to about 3.95%. After COVID, students don't need to submit the SAT as well as ACT, so therefore more students apply, and Stanford single-handedly collected more student applicants than any other universities. In the last round, students had more than 10,000 elevated to apply to Stanford based on from previous years, so therefore admission rate dropped down to 3.95%. Stanford has a tough job. What are their students to be admitted? What kind of students they are looking for? So let's talk a little bit about what Stanford is looking for. Of course, they're looking for you, but you need to fit into certain criteria, and a certain criteria every year Stanford define about the same thing, is that you must come from diverse background. Your experience, your talent, your academic interests, and the way you look at the world need to be unique. You cannot be a 书呆子, 也就是说 you only have grades, your GPA and your SAT are very optimal, but you still need to be diverse, still need to have experience, talents, intelligence. I said it many times, students must have a future vision of the world. I said it many times, students must have intelligence, including personal intelligence, academic intelligence, as well as future professional intelligence. Today, I won't go into that very deeply, but in previous recordings, I have talked a lot about intelligence, talent, and creativity. Stanford also want to make sure you're the right one to come into their university, is because you will grow together with Stanford, you will contribute accordingly to the Stanford community, and the university will change because of you. That means improve because of you. It's not just about academic work. Academic work is just one bare criteria, but it cannot be everything that judge a student's fit with Stanford University. Stanford want to know that you are very unique, you have 独一无二的优势. When you are in the university, you are actually is a 专家, 领域的专家, you are an expert in the respective field of your representation. It could be personal, academic, or future professional development. The number activity does not represent who you are, but the depth. It's not the width, it's the depth of your experience, your activities, your community activities, your school activities that really represent who you are. Stanford want to know that. But you need to be selective. You cannot just be a blind follower. People join this club, you join this club. People do this, you also do this. A lot of science students would be in Science Olympiad. You are also in Science Olympiad, but I'm sure top university will look at and filter information from the way you participate in Science Olympiad and see indeed if you have any unique work out of being in Science Olympiad. Intellectual vitality. This was one of the many essays that Stanford required of the students on the application. Very difficult essay to write, only allowed approximately 300 words, 250 words. Most students said, I don't understand what is intellectual vitality. To me, intellectual vitality means you are curious, you are dedicated, you have your passion, and all these will lead into a future promise for Stanford. This is how they look at you and your application. Let me take an example. Past Olympics. Young Olympians can come from universities. In the past, USC gathered the most number of trophies, most number of gold, silver, bronze. Stanford ranked number 2, UCLA 3, UC Berkeley number 4, Yale number 9, Harvard number 10, and some state schools in between. Okay, but beyond Rio de Janeiro, now into Tokyo 2020, Stanford single-handedly collected the most number of trophies. Gold, silver, bronze gathered together, 26, more than USC, 21. This is a very key example. You know that Stanford has been working very hard to surpass USC as the most important, the #1 university in the United States that has produced the young Olympians who are actually their own university students. Stanford did a very good job. UCLA probably like to follow, UC Berkeley also like to follow, I'm sure. This is a great example to let everybody understand that it's not just your GPA, it's not just your SAT that define your expertise for Stanford. You need to be a young Olympians who win gold, silver, bronze medal from now on to make it as one of the experts to be qualified to be a Stanford student. Pay attention. That means Stanford, their chosen students, they're all experts in some area. 他们都是领域的专家. So therefore, student number 1, expert in computer science. Student number 2, expert in chemistry. Student number 3, maybe an expert in dance. Student number 4, maybe expert in art. Student number 5, maybe expert in English. And the next one is history, and the next one, XYZ. If you are a very balanced student with everything that is balanced, you are not expert in one particular field, Stanford may not be for you. Stanford may not even be looking at you. So therefore, you need to be an expert. You need to be a 领域的专家 to make it into being a considerable candidate for Stanford University. I taught my students many times. 9th grade, you need a vision. 10th grade, you need a plan. 11th grade, you need a focus. 12th grade, you need a strategy. In the meantime, you also have to nurture your IQ, your EQ, your CQ, your SQ. I created this terminology called CQ, creative quotient or creativity or creative intelligence. SQ is social quotient, social intelligence. It's not just your IQ that counts. It's not just your way of dealing with people, EQ, that count. In the meantime, you also have to develop and create and make your CQ, SQ noticeable to the university. So all these combined together, your vision, your plan, your focus, your strategy, your IQ, EQ, CQ, SQ, these are the way to make you an expert in certain field. Could be personal, like a sport. It could be academic, could be like a academic department or college major, or could be future, like a profession. This is how you make Stanford proud of you, and this will become your admission success. This can be a strategy. Let me tell you about a few cases. Today, I will talk mainly about public high school students. When I give a chance, I will talk about private high school students because the way to prepare is a little bit different. Student case 1, public high school, GPA 4.3, SAT 1, English 790, Math 790. Very good. SAT 2, those days was still requirement of subject tests, all 800 in chemistry, physics, math 2, English. AP still required. The student did very well, all 5 in chemistry, physics, Calc AB, Calc BC, statistics, English, US history. School activity, stereotype. Science, Olympiad. Captain, math team, captain. Community service, computer club president. Science for the blind students, founder. Getting to be a little bit more unique, right? Summer program, research in electrical engineering in Stanford, college major, EE, electrical engineering, and computer science. So far, it doesn't look like a lot of uniqueness. So far, it doesn't look like a lot of expertise. But let's see what else happened to this student, case 1. Application uniqueness, published paper in electrical engineering, computer science for blind students. Essentially helping the blind to see. Very unique. Student is an expert in electrical engineering, in certain chips, I guess. Computer science for the blind, maybe certain chips can be implanted into a blind person's brain to help the person to see through the optic chiasm and the optic nerves. Therefore, physical science, electrical engineering, and computer science for helping the blind to see. This student is definitely an expert in science advancement. Surely fit into Stanford's requirement that students need to be an expert. Application strategy, science invention. Excellent work. Student case number 2, public high school, GPA 4.6, a lot of A's and A+, SAT 1, English 800, Math 800, wow, even better. SAT 2, subject test 800 in chemistry, Math 2, US history, AP all 5s in chemistry, Cal AB, Cal BC, art history, music theory, microeconomics, did very well. Balance in science and social sciences. School activities, dance club, and choir. No leadership though, no leadership. Community service, symphony orchestra, violin, very common. I wouldn't call that uniqueness unless you took lessons after a certain violin master, like his name is Isaac Perlman. Wasn't the case, okay? Was not the case. Summer program teaching art for the urban kids, college major, chemistry, computer science, or sociology, undecided. Wow, this student has grades, has number on SAT 1, SAT 2, AP, as well as GPA, but this student doesn't have anything unique so far. Anybody worry about this student? Let's see what else has been done. This student knows how to write creative essays though. I still remember how creative she was in her language, in the way she wrote her essays. At that time, she was actually participating in a certain sports that involved minorities, in particular involving China and the Mongolians, something like that, or Xinjiang, something like that. All the details I don't remember, but she wrote some creative essay that I will never forget. She actually made a reflection of how politics actually influence economics in urban society, but in a very creative manner. Not just a simple way of expressing herself, but with lots of passion about the subject of politics and economics. She definitely fit with Stanford. Her expertise was about science and society, also about social science and society. Application strategy, science for society, including social science for society. Well, anyway, interesting enough, today she graduated already from Stanford, and she was actually a computer science major. Case number 3, public high school, GPA 4.2, SAT 1, English 760, Math 780, SAT 2, 780 to 800, all 5s in APs in studio art, art history, psychology, English literature, statistics, world history, school activity, art club president, media club president. Wow, there is some indication that this student will use art as the way to present herself, right? Community service, art competition, poster art competition. And particularly she get into a competition concerning United Nations UNICEF art exhibition as a poster, and she got first place. Summer program, media art, college major, very clear, art and design. This student is very unified in the way she presents herself. It's mostly about art and exhibition art. Let's see what she did further. Application uniqueness, art for society. She was a champion, first place for UN, United Nations, UNICEF poster competition. She definitely fit with Stanford. Her expertise was excellence in art. Application strategy, art in motion. Her art is not just about for appreciation only. Her art was actually good enough for United Nations. Interesting enough, yes, she did an art major in Stanford, but eventually she got a master's degree in computer science. Stanford is very famous for computer science, probably ranked #1 in the whole country. Case number 4, public high school, GPA 4.2, SAT1, English 720, Math 760, a little bit lower, not as highly in so-called exhibiting the intelligence in SAT tests. SAT2, subject test 800s, AP, all 5s in biology, chemistry, Calc BC, English language, music theory, government. School activity, a little bit ordinary, orchestra, piano, community service, youth leader in city mayor's office, and also symphony orchestra. Summer program, here it comes. Stanford, specific program called SIMR. Stanford Institute for Medical Research. University of Chicago RIPS, research in biological science. UPenn Biomedical Research Academy. The student did very well in her 11th grade summer, 10th grade summer, and 9th grade summer respectively. College major, molecular biology. She wanted to be a medical doctor, pre-med. She did science publication even in high school because of Stanford's program in SIMR. Fit with Stanford, she was an expert in molecular biology. Application strategy, science invention, besides the fact that she was also into music, so on and so forth. Today, she is in medical school. Case number 5, public high school, GPA 4.4, SAT1 English 780, Math 760, SAT2 760 to 790 in world history, US history, Math 2 biology, AP 4s and 5s in economics, including micro and macro, English, government, psychology, European history. A little bit lower than the other previous student that we talked about, right? Activities, student council vice president, Chinese culture club president, school orchestra, viola, community service, community advocate in preventing gentrification in Los Angeles, Chinatown, meaning that prevent the older people being kicked out from Chinatown, so the land is being built into high-rise buildings. Thereafter, she also went to summer program in Africa, Kenya. She spent actually 8 weeks there. When she came back, she's so convinced that she wanted to be a sociology major to help minority people in Africa and also to help minority local people in the social environment in Chinatown. She did very well. Uniqueness, she had a heart for community. Fit with Stanford, her expertise was about social benefit, very clear as a way of demonstrating her interest in sociology. Application strategy for the common good. This is something for the common good. This is something that every top Ivy League university, now of course also Stanford, will treasure and will make it as an important criteria for selection of students for society's common good. She had an expertise. One more case, public high school, GPA 4.0, SAT1, 730 and 760, a little bit lower, SAT2, 750 to 770, AP 4 to 5. Academically, this student is an A- to a B+ student only. School activity, dance club president, community service, dance competition champion, summer program, international dance competition champion. She essentially won every single possible championship in China. College major, of course, dance major. Uniqueness, dance awards, both US and international. Her fit with Stanford, Stanford does have a department of dance, and she became an expert for Stanford in dance and dance major. She shared a lot with other Stanford students about her championship and also her style of dance. Application strategy, dance as a focus and dance as a future vision. She did very well, but I still like her to have a little bit higher intelligence in her representing in her GPA and in her SAT 1 exam. Okay, 加油. Okay, good luck to everything. Application uniqueness, foundation, just GPA, SAT. This is something that most counselor can do. I am definitely beyond that. It's not just about 基本的东西，基本的 foundation 的基础。My work is about students 与众不同的地方，与众不同的特点 unique differentiation. I can help students 从他们的身上 from their talents to pick one 找到一点是与众不同的地方 to make something out of her talent and eventually will become her the students' unique differentiation. More than that, from that unique differentiation, I help my student to craft a one-of-a-kind competitive edge, 独一无二的竞争的优势. So put all together, this is application strategy. Student 1, academic 分数 A, expertise A 加 A+, excellent. Chance of admission to top university like Stanford, excellent, good chance. Student 2, academic A, expertise not much. This is a so-called 书呆子, This is a bookworm. This is an ordinary student, ordinary chance, so therefore to Stanford, the chance is low. Student number 3, to your surprise, academic score B+, expertise, also A, still A. This is exactly like the last student number 6. Her dance expertise was essentially A+, academic work, well, maybe B+, A-, but she did have an elevated chance of admission to Stanford. You have to understand what kind of student Stanford is looking for. Stanford's preferred students are all experts in their respective field. Expertise make a difference for Stanford. My plea to all students listening now, if you ever have a chance to top Ivy League university, if you ever have a chance to consider Stanford as your school, the preparation process is not by chance. 不是单靠运气. It's by choice. It's 靠你的投入. But most importantly, it's about your vision, plan, focus, strategy. It's also about your IQ, EQ, CQ, SQ, put all together in a creative manner in your application essays for creative writing and presentation. This is your application strategy. 成功申请策略是要靠你的投入，是你的选择。I'm Dr. Simon Chan. I take pride in helping students, doesn't matter from high school to top universities like Ivy League or Stanford, MIT. I also take pride in helping students to go from college to medical schools. My success rate all these years is about 90%. That means once in a while, one student don't get in, but most of my students do get into the first 3 selected choices of universities. My office is in St. Gabriel, but today, of course, we do quite a bit of virtual counseling process. I certainly hope that I have a chance to help you. I'm Dr. Simon Chan. My work is about top colleges and top universities and top medical schools application strategy.